Okay, so time to go through my physical TBR for a few reasons. One, there's new books. And someone in my Discord said they wanted to see this. And two, I move in a few months. And before I move, there is a good 10 to 15 books that could be books that I like but don't need to stay on my shelves, but I won't know that until I read them. And that's 10 to 15 books that don't need to be packed in a box, Increase shelf space, those type of things. So some of this is just to remind myself, hey, these books exist. You should put them on TBRs, try to read them so that you don't have to move with them. But in general, my entire physical TBR is 34 books. We're going to go through them, and I'll talk about which ones I want to prioritize. I'll ask which ones I want your guys' opinions on in the comments, and let's get into it. First is a book I got a year ago, and that's Shadow of the Short Days. This is by an Icelandic author. I believe it's a standalone that was indie published and then traditionally published, and was originally written in English and then translated to Icelandic, I think. I don't know for sure. It's really pretty. I bought this when I was visiting my grandmother last year, and I have not gotten to it. I think it's a rebellion fantasy. I really am excited for a setting inspired by Icelandic culture, so I want to pick this up and see if I'd like it, especially since it's a standalone. This one's probably not getting unhauled without me at least trying a few chapters or anything, just because it's a standalone and it's a very pretty blue. But I need to get to it because it's been over a year since I've purchased this book. Another book is a gift, so I didn't pick this up on my own, and a kind of a companion sequel just came out, but that's The Golem and the Jinni, which I know a bunch of people love. I have not read it. I think this is more historical fantasy, and I don't know a lot about it because, like I said, I didn't purchase it for myself, but someone who has similar reading tastes to me did purchase it for me, so I'd like to get to it. I've just been horrible at prioritizing when. And yeah, so people who love this book need to hype it up for me and tell me that I'm going to love it, and I will get to it. But since it's a gift, I also don't want to part ways with it before I read it, that sort of thing. Similarly with gifts, this one I'm for sure not getting rid of because it's a gift from a friend, but I have no idea when I'll be in the mood for it, and it's probably not going to be before this move, but that's Persuasion by Jane Austen. This was the first book Evie ever sent me, and for that reason alone, I cannot get rid of it, but man, do I just wish that these editions of books were prettier. But for that reason alone, this will stay on my shelves, but I'm not normally in the mood for classics, although Jane Austen is one of my favorite authors of classic literature. I really enjoyed Pride and Prejudice, like most people. This next one I bought in an attempt to force myself to read in Spanish, and this is The Fault in Our Stars, the Spanish edition by John Green, and I haven't read it yet. I picked it up because I remembered reading this book in college in 2 days, and that the sentence structure was simple. So I thought this would be great for reading simple grammatical structures in Spanish, and I'm probably right, but it's not even I loved this story that much when I first read it. So it's really hard for me to make time to do a hard thing in a language I don't think in all the time with this book. So I don't know if I'll keep this or not. But it's the only book in Spanish that I own, and I do think it would serve that purpose if I ever just sat down and forced myself to do it. So I don't know what to do with this one. Next one's a recent purchase, and I will be holding on to it. And I'm hoping I'd love it, and so I can pick up the duology. But if I don't, I know exactly who to give this to, and so that's part of why it's on this section of the list, and that is Daughter of the Moon Goddess. This is a new adult release, the beginning of a duology. It has a strong romance component. Everything I heard about this book while I was doing my January roundup releases video made me really curious to pick this up, and it's a stunning edition, and I love the art and I love the feel of the book, so I'm really, really hoping I like it, but I don't know. And if I don't like it, I definitely have friends who would enjoy this book that I can give it to and not have to move with, so I should try and get to this in the next couple months. Another book I bought on a whim, actually I bought this with Evie at the Brookline Booksmith because we each bought a book that day, and that We Have Always Been Here. This is a sci-fi thriller, I think. I picked it up because it reminded me of the tension of Alien or Aliens in the synopsis. And this is a debut, and I want to read it. I also like the blue cover because I'm basic. I like this kind of color palette. But every time I've made a TBR, I've not put it on there. I've tried to put it on a few polls for Patreon and no one votes for it. I haven't heard anyone talk about this book. So I want to try it out to see if it's a hidden gem or if it's a book that I bought on a whim and I shouldn't have, because we have all done that at the bookstore. This book is the book that has been on my physical TBR the longest. Well, maybe not the longest, but for sure the fiction book, I think. And that's The Other Einstein. My grandmother bought this for me because people like to buy me things that are science adjacent. That is who I am. And this is about, like, it's historical fiction of Einstein's first wife, who was a scientist in her own right. And I liked watching the show, The Genius, I think it was, for Einstein. Like, I liked that on National Geographic. But I don't know if I want to read it. So I need to try a couple chapters to see if this writing style is for me. And if it is, then I'll just power through because it's not that long. It's like 300 pages. But if you haven't noticed, I don't keep many books like this around. And I don't put these books on my physical TBR because it's really hard for me to, like, gravitate towards them. It's hard enough for me to pick up the rest of my physical TBR. So yeah, this is one. If anyone's read it, hype it up for me. And if you have read it and you think, Angela, it's not going to do anything for you, let me know. But I have had this book for 5-6 years, a long time. When was it even published? Maybe I've had it since it's been published in paperback. 2016. Yeah, that sounds right. That sounds right. And the next one is a giveaway book I got, and that's The Forever King. It's an indie published first book in a, I think, fantasy trilogy. Kayla got us these books in a giveaway. I don't know if I'll like it. It has a lot of tropes that can work for me, but also tropes that if they aren't done spectacular, I can be bored really easily, and it's a chunky one. It's really pretty. It's like almost 500 pages, I want to say, 550 pages. And I like how, like, the production of this book feels. I just don't know if it's going to scratch, like, what I like in fantasy. So I should just give it a try. If it doesn't work for me, pass it along to someone. We got plenty of good used bookstores and, you know, the library trees around. But I've had this on my shelf for, I want to say, almost 2 years now, so I really should get around to this. So those are all the books that are just, like, sitting around staring at me. You should read these, Angela. And the rest of these are included in that, but they just also happen to be, like, Tor.com books, which I also put to the side because there's going to be potentially a Tor.com readathon happening in April, which is exciting, and I think that'll be a perfect opportunity for me to get to these books on my physical TBR. So this one actually might be Tor and not Tor.com, but The Ballad of Black Tom. I really loved The Changeling, so I've had this novella for a while. It is so short. I wanted to read it in October, but just didn't have the spoons at the time. I think I was reading House of Chains, and that took all of my energy. But this is supposed to be like a Lovecraftian sort of story. That's that type of horror sci-fi vibe. And I'm interested because I really liked The Changeling. And so hoping to also like this little novella. The next two are both in the same series, and they're both connected to middle game. So we have Over the Woodward Wall, and we've got Along the Saltwise Sea. I have read neither of these. I just purchased them both sight unseen because I love middle game, and these are about children who make friends across dimensions, which, like, I grew up on His Dark Materials. This is like, yes, I need to try this. So I think they're middle grade style, but for adults. Like, they're shelved in the adult section of my bookstore. I don't know if they're shelved in middle grade sections, but they're very pretty, and they're short. So, and I think Seasonal Fears comes out in April too, or maybe early May, so I can reread Middle Game, read these, be ready for Seasonal Fears. It feels like a plan. The next one I've had since May of last year, and I keep talking to people and keep being like, man, I should read that. I should buddy read that. And it's Master of Poisons, which I love how this book looks, but I don't know much about it. I know it's kind of a slow burn, world-building fantasy. I think there's a lot of African folklore and religion maybe in this. I have no clue. I need to read this. I bought it because it was on my 21 books to read in 2021 list, but also I got it used for like $9. So for a hardback in this condition, used was like, yes, I need to try it out. But it's also a thick one, so I don't want to necessarily move with this if I can't, like, you know, actually read it, figure out if I like it. And another thick one is Docile, which I got same time I got Shadow of the Short Days. So it's been on my shelf for about a year, and I still haven't gotten to it. This is supposed to have heavy topics, but also a page turner. I've heard nothing but mixed things, so I think it'll be digestible. I just don't know how I will land on it, but I want to read it because this author has other books out that I want to read as well, but it's like I already have one on my shelf that I should probably prioritize. So those I'll probably get to in April-ish because of that whole week readathon thing that's going to be happening. We'll then get to my graphic novels, because I actually have a little stack. I've never had a little stack before. I got a little stack right here. Some of these are from my birthday, and some of these are Ryan's that he's just telling me to read. So first I got Buffy. We got Buffy. These are new Buffy. So the art's definitely inspired by the TV show, but I don't actually know if that's where the similarities end or not. Like, I haven't read them. I'm excited to. And then we saw the Batman, and as I said in a Friday Reads, Ryan got Batman Year 1, And he also got The Long Halloween, which is the title I could not think about when I filmed That Friday Reads. So these are the two that heavily inspired the newest movie. And it's been a while since I've read a Batman. I've read a few, but I haven't read that many. And then Far Sector by N.K. Jemisin, which I have not read yet. And I don't know why, but I really want to. I'm thinking of doing a vlog with all of my graphic novels, which, I mean, I don't need to have them read before the move. I'm keeping all of them. None of those are getting unhauled, I don't think. But it was just kind of my idea, because these are all like, you know, chosen one superhero type characters sort of thing. I think that'd make a fun vlog. Okay, now to this stack of books that I haven't read yet, but I'm going to, and they're not getting unhauled regardless. I have The Ark for the City Inside. I believe this comes out end of summer, so I might not get to it before I move in the middle of summer, and I'm interested in it, and it's also just very pretty. Like, I just think it's a very pretty cover. I have 2 Louise Erdrich books, so those are staying. Not only did Evie get them for me, but I really want to read them. So Plague of Doves and The Roundhouse, these are both like the first 2 in like a kind of trilogy. I don't think it's connected like plot or character-wise. It might just be more like a setting. I'll know more once I read it, but I love Louise Erdrich, so these 2, they're staying. I've got Dawn, which I actually think I'm getting to in May, so it's probably going to be read before my move anyways, but this is so pretty, and why would I unhaul it? Like, that doesn't make sense. No, it doesn't make sense. And then a book that I think I am going to be reading in the near future, and even if I haven't before I moved, I want to keep it, and that's Do You Dream of Terra 2, which is a sci-fi book that I've been very eager to get to, and hopefully will in the nearish future. And more Unraveling by Karen Lord. Yeah, I'm not unhauling this. I'm saving it now, because I don't know when the next Karen Lord's coming out. It's all silence. Like, I Google, and I know nothing about when the Blue Beautiful World's coming out. I know nothing. There's still no cover. I think Daw Publishing has been, like, messing up stuff. I don't know. I've seen other authors, like, leave and go to other publishing houses from there. I'm not, like, on the pulse of publishing, but I don't have good vibes. So regardless, Redemption in Indigo's kind of sequel is Unraveling, and I do want to get to it. But, of course, I'm not unhauling this if I haven't gotten to it before I move. And the next 2 I just showed recently, but these are The Memory of Souls and The House of Always, next 2 books. And Course of Dragons, because I am reading The Name of All Things right now, so it's currently being read, so it's not on the physical TBR. And then we got my stack of short story collections right here. So, Evie just sent me, yeah, there's a theme here. Evie is like one of like 3 people who has my address, and this is why, because Evie on her own sends me like a third of my TBR. But Universal Love is supposed to be a sci-fi short story collection by one author, and I do like collections more than anthologies on average, because I can get used to an author's writing style and how they muse about ideas and topics, and I don't really know what themes will be in this. I know it's a sci-fi collection, and that's about it. Honestly, I didn't even know this existed until it showed up at my doorstep. I have another Ken Liu short story collection, The Hidden Girl, that I'm excited to get into, although I might be getting to Grace of Kings first. We'll see. I'm excited for more Ken Liu. Let's just put it that way. And then I got the science fiction and fantasy short story anthologies, the 2021, because this has the Karen Lord in it. And then 2020, I think I got this one because it was on sale and had a bunch of authors I knew. Yeah, it had Ken Liu, Charlie Jane Anders, Victor Laval, Elizabeth Bear, Rebecca Roanhorse, Tobias S. Buckell, another great Caribbean SFF author. So I think this was like on sale for like $7 when I bought this full price. So that's why I have both of these. Don't know when I'm going to read these, but I kind of like staring at them. They do bring me joy. And then this last one, I really want to try and prioritize some of it this year. Ryan got this for me for Christmas in 2020, and that is The Future is Female. And this is pulp science fiction. And I haven't read a lot of that, first of all, and then to just have this collection primarily be 20s and 30s authors that are female writing pulp fiction seems really fun. I think it's 20s and 30s. I could be wrong. It starts at 1928 and ends at 1969, and the only author I know on this list is Ursula K. Le Guin, and the story for her is 9 Lives. So it's really just kind of like, I think, a fun thing to have. So those are the short stories, and then these next 3, I don't know what to do with them. I'm probably not getting rid of them, but I don't know what to do with them. The first one is Sharp Ends by Joe Abercrombie. I really like this book. Like, it's a tactily nice experience, but I have not continued since 2020 First Law. I've read the First Law trilogy twice. I have tried to read Best Served Cold twice, and I am seriously just considering skipping all the standalones and just trying a little Hatred just to see if I would even like it. and then I can go back and read the standalones, because, like, I don't know where I am in this world. It's a chore for me, and I don't like reading things that are a chore, and, like, maybe I'll get back to it when I finish Wheel of Time, because that's my current chore. Like, I can only handle so many, like, fantasy series that I don't want to be reading at a time. So, I don't know. I don't know why. Like, I mean, objectively, First Law is better than Wheel of Time for me. But, like, I don't know. So I have this book. And I got it before I knew there were standalones, and it's a really nice production. But I don't know what to do. And similarly, I didn't ask for this book, but it showed up. And so I have the Book of Dust, and it's signed. And this is the first book in the new set of books in his Dark Materials, which I love. But I don't know if I want to commit to this. So this doesn't even have any of our main characters. I believe this is a prequel to how Lyra got to Oxford. And then the next one is after the trilogy, like the something Commonwealth. And I don't know how I feel. I think I'm waiting for it to be done, but honestly, his Dark Materials is just like, I like it where it is. I don't need more. So it's a very nice book that's signed. I don't know if it has art in it. Oh, it has a nice, like, title page. Like, it's a good book. Like, it's a good quality book. So I'm not getting rid of it, but I have no intention or idea of when I'm reading it. And I think it's between this and the Einstein book, for book that I've owned the longest. Actually, I've owned this way longer. I don't even know how to say it. It's this book. It's so big. It's actually still in pretty good condition, considering I think I've been moving with this since I was 18. I think I've had this book for 10 years. Oh yeah, this is way cheaper than what it should be. You ever do that? You're like, how long have I had this book? You look at the price tag and it's like, oh, yeah, that's not how much this would sell for today. This book is so heavy. I don't know what it's about. Like, I'm just opening it and, like, it looks like a textbook. Like, I don't know what this book is. My mom bought it for me one Christmas because she wanted to. Again, people tend to buy me things with math and science because, like, I mean, it's not I did name my channel Literature Science Lines. It's not a leap, but no clue. I know a lot of my math friends, like people who love math, love this book. So I'm unsure when I'll get to it, but I don't think I'll get rid of it just because it is, like, still in good condition, and maybe one day I'll want to. Like, I just opened this up. It's just, like, shapes. Like, what is this book? I feel like it's my House of Leaves. I don't know. So that's the physical TBR. It's manageable. And like I said, the ones I talked about at the beginning, before the graphic novels, those are the ones I want everyone's opinions on. Those are the ones that's like, I want to know, what should I prioritize? What do you guys think will be hits or misses for me? Because ideally, I would like to, I don't know, only have like 25 books on my unread TBR before I move. I think that's manageable. Who knows? It's manageable if I choose to read off my physical TBR. I could do that. Easy. I could read 10 books between now and 2 months from now. I can do that. Will I? Time will tell. But that's it for this one. Let me know, how do you handle moving with your books? You know, do you go through a purge like I'm attempting to at the moment? Let me know, how do you feel about your physical TBR? Do you have a healthy relationship? Does it stress you out? I'm of the opinion that as long as you're comfortable, the number is great. You could say your number is 900, but if you're comfortable, A-okay. Like, I want a library one day when I don't live in apartments. Floor to ceiling shelves. All of the walls. It'll be great. For now, this is a good, like, range for me. 25 to 40 books. That's, like, I feel like that's reasonable. Otherwise, if you want to leave an emoji, stacks of books. All the books. Like, I'm literally surrounded by books right now. And, like, if you liked it, subscribe if you want to, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.